Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Big Brother 25 Roundtable podcast. This is the podcast where we give you an update on everything that has been happening on the feeds. And we also rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. And with me to do so this week is Aman. How you doing, Aman?
Fantastic. Glad to be back. Haven't been on the roundtable in a bit. And it's been an interesting sort of like topsy-turvy type mess over the past few days. So I'm actually don't really know where I'm going to leave some of these players. So yeah, it'll be interesting to have a conversation about it.
All right. And of course, also with us here tonight is Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk because I feel like, or at least I'm very excited to rate the players because I feel like this week was like, I had like very different ratings for people just like a couple days ago or whatever. So now it is certainly very different. It's a fun-filled, cam-filled week. So we can talk about it and have some fun. Does that sound serious or does that sound sincere?
Oh boy. Well, we are going to talk through everything. You can, of course, fill out the survey if you would like. I tweeted it out over on Twitter. The survey will be open for another, hold on, roughly 40, 50 minutes. It's usually easier to do that math.
It sounded like something was going wrong. Like, hold on.
I just looked at the clock and I was like, wait a minute. Usually we start at 5 o'clock, but now it's 5:30.
It's all different now, guys. We're here on a Monday at 5:30.
We're basically Big Brother at this point.
Yeah, we're changing.
Like, what are we doing?
Around.
I mean, honestly,
pushing things back, doing it on a different day. Well, the game has officially started back up. We have a new HOH. We have new nominations. We had a new plan that almost happened. So it's back to regular old Big Brother 25. And really, it almost feels like not a lot to talk about anymore. Even though it felt like there was going to be a lot to talk about. We can tell you like the story of what almost happened, but then it didn't happen. So now it's kind of like back to status quo.
Right. Yeah. Moments of intrigue, right? And then things just sort of settle back to where they were. So it feels like this ranking or rating system should have something to like give it a little spice, but nah, not really. But I mean, if anything, what could have happened might, still have ramifications for the rest of the game. So I guess there's still that to have the dialogue about.
Yeah, this was really like gonna be a wild week. I was excited to see like, I guess like we'll stop beating around the bush, I guess, like how Corey was almost backdoored. I feel like so here's my thought on it. I think that it's a very exciting move. And at the same time, I feel like I am glad that Corey is not going home this week because I do want him in the jury. I feel like that's like, I mean, if not winning, whatever, obviously, but like at least in the jury, I do feel like he'd be a really good jury member. I think he would take his duty as a juror very seriously and would want to award good gameplay. I enjoy seeing Corey play, so I want him to stick around. But I do feel like getting put on the block I feel like getting put on the block would have been good for him because he's too comfortable. He's not playing up to his like level that we've seen him play. He's too, focused on the America thing. He really needs to be looking at Cam and Matt, and especially Matt. And so I feel like the fact that he's sitting there like comfortably rating himself like a 6 or 7 in the Stockwatch or whatever, like that's not it. That's obviously not the case. And now that he's not going to be put up on the block, he's not going to get that. He's just going to be like, just as I thought, an easy week for me. Cam said, like, enjoy jury or whatever. And I'm going to like, I'm glad I'm in jury and I listened to Cam and now I can trust Cam. And someone needs to tell him that this was almost going to happen. And I feel like someone will tell him, like when it becomes important. But we need him to know that now, so that way he can start playing again. So it's kind of good and bad at this point that, you know, this all didn't happen or whatever. But yeah, I know a lot of people are disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sort of like we've sort of had such a really, really fun pre-jury so far. And these past couple of weeks have sort of taken the momentum out of the game. And so anything that would have like shaken up the house to me was going to be exciting. Once again, lots of love for Corey. So of course I would have loved to see him like continue to go forward in the game. And I'm glad that he is staying. But at the same time, if he does go, I wouldn't have been too upset because like I've been saying all season long, I don't care who wins this season. I really don't care. So it's been it was definitely a really, really fun night last night, because I thought like I hadn't been I wasn't able to watch the feeds for a lot of the time. And so I was just thinking, oh, Miss Felicia, she's gonna leave. I was like in mourning, and then all of a sudden Corey backdoor. I was like, oh my God, like what's gonna happen? And so yeah, it was a fun little boost of like adrenaline, but now we're sort of like coming back down from the high. So but you know, it's good now, because now maybe Corey will begin to understand that his positioning is not great. And the fact that he's getting made aware of the fact that Blue is pushing, and the fact that Matt and Jag didn't say anything to him about it, it's like, okay, now that you understand where you're at, what are you going to do now? So when I say ramifications for what could have been, I'm hoping that this will spice some things up, and maybe the target for Matt and Jag and Corey's eyes gets a little larger than what it may have been had he not found out about it. So I'm interested to see how this moves forward.
Yeah, and I feel like also, like, you know, people in the chat are saying, like you said, Aman, like, well, he knows, he was told. But he was told that Blue was pushing for a back door, which, like, obviously, like, yeah, okay, that doesn't mean anything to have somebody pushing for a back door that you already are trying to take out. The point is that it wasn't that Blue was pushing for a back door. It's that Cam literally was about to put him on the block, and they've been having many conversations about this throughout the past couple days or the night or whatever, and trying to figure out, like, okay, how do we do this? What do we do? And he needs to be told that that was happening, not just that somebody that he's against pushed to get him on the block, because someone can push to get someone on the block all they want. But the fact is that it was going to happen. It was this close. And I think that is the important element of it.
Well, let me give a quick recap here to help catch everyone up.
Yeah, sorry, me and Melissa kind of just
we're like, whatever, Taran, we're just gonna get to
it. Just in case people aren't caught up, you probably are about the Corey stuff, but maybe not. Some people like to get the whole week in one drop. But basically, this week we saw Cam win the HOH. He, as you saw in the episodes at least, targeted Felicia, nominated Felicia and Mimi. However, he decided to change his mind after he won the veto and thought maybe it would be a good idea to target Corey. He saw Corey having a long conversation with Blue, and he was like, you know what? I got to get this out of here. And he pitched it to Matt, who was like, this is a terrible idea for you. Please go on. Because Matt is not a huge fan of Cam in the game right now, because he keeps beating him in comps. So with Matt encouraging him to make what he felt was a mistake, the plan was moving forward. When Jag heard about the plan, he was like, no, I don't like this at all. And when Blue told Cam about what her and Corey had talked about, which was targeting Cam and raiding all of the players in the house, Cam was like, aha, even more evidence that Corey should leave. So Jag had quite an uphill battle to uphill, I don't know, thing to climb. And ultimately, after, you know, roughly 36-ish hours, managed to finally change Matt's mind on the topic, and both of them convinced Cam that he should not go ahead and do it. Cam had another conversation with Corey where Corey finally admitted to Cam that he was really targeting Blue. And so Cam backed down, did not put Corey on the block. He then right before the veto ceremony today, told Corey that Blue had been pushing for Corey to go up as the target like today. And Corey was like, well, okay. And also was like, also I heard about a 4 for a social game. Thanks. And so Corey's big takeaway from that was A, Blue's coming for me a bit more aggressively than I thought, and B, Matt and Jag didn't tell me a thing about this. So he has since talked to Jag and was like, hey, what am I hearing? And Jag was like, dude, we were fighting for your life last night. He's like, wait, was Cam into it? He's like, oh, no. Just Blue was pushing. So we were trying to block it. And so that's kind of the current state of things in terms of that whole situation. Corey now very much against Blue, which is exactly where Jag, Matt, and Cam want him to be. And really Blue, who very nearly had something really good, just slips out of her fingers and is now in not a great spot.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's definitely eye-opening for Corey, and props to Jag, because I think that towards in the beginning of the season, when he was a part of like the whole Riley Onion, whatever you call that mess, the handful, handshake, whatever the hell that stuff was, can't remember at this point. And when he could see his like ship sinking around him, when Riley was targeted the very next week, and everyone was starting to scatter, he kind of just sort of like was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to act like this wasn't happening. He was like the Jags game in the beginning was that gif of the dog sitting in the fire, like, this is fine. Like, now that he finds himself after getting evicted but not getting evicted, and then being sort of like up in the air and in flux for a number of weeks, now that he finally finds himself within another structure of an onion, he's like, I cannot let this go, and I will fight to the death for this to stay in my grasp. So, I applaud him for that, because he could have easily just sort of like let it melt the way that it melted the first time. And, Matt, his priorities and his proclivities aren't exactly 100% in tune with Jags. And with Matt, I still feel like it's a little dicey, having your onion and then shaving off a big piece of it immediately. I think there was still something to be lost there, but certainly not as much as Jag. And so it's good on Jag that he was able to get Matt to see, once this happens, there probably isn't a lot of other people that, should these people get in power next week, like let's say like a Mimi or it's like you're upping your target level so much more. Like, yes, Cam will still be here, but then like once Cam leaves, then what? So it was definitely some good work on Jag's part for sure. I didn't think it was gonna happen at first. I really thought that Matt was gonna just like let this happen. I really did.
Yeah, I mean, Matt really wanted it to happen, and I do, like, I see the vision for Matt. I think, like, there's a world where this makes a lot of sense for Matt. It relies on his ability to maintain his relationships with Cirie and Blue, but I think it could really work, and it would not have been good for Jag. The tricky part about analyzing this is that for Matt, it's like, for the short term, a little riskier, but long-term, very good, if he can pull it off. For Jag, it was terrible short-term, but removed an obstacle that is long-term for Jag, because while having Corey in the game is very, very good for Jag right now, we know that Corey is going to become a threat to Jag long-term. Now, that said, like, how much of a threat, really, at the end of the day, considering that Jag will still have Cam and Matt in the game for at least a couple more weeks, and then at least have Matt in the game for a little while longer after that. Plus, now he has some dirt on both Cam and Matt that if Jag wanted to use, he could, and I think he will on Cam. He's still, I think the biggest issue with Jag is that he's still too loyal to Matt. But it's a very interesting play, and you know, in terms of effectiveness, like he's in it and he's making moves, and I think this was necessary for him in this moment. But the trick is that he can't buy into long-term Corey loyalty because that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and good on Matt's part for this as well. Like, yes, it was a little you know, it was a little dicey because if this was gonna go through, like Jag was gonna be upset. I still feel like Matt would have been able to sort of been like, well, you know, like Cam was gonna do it whether we wanted him to or not. Like, you know, you said it was gonna be on me if he did it. I don't think so. Like, we know how Cam is. He's crazy. So like, no matter which way the ball was gonna like go, like Matt still had a certain level of like, hey, I tried. And you know, that's a good spot to be in, because if it doesn't fall, if the blame doesn't fall on you, hey, you can get off scot-free either way. That to me says that your social positioning in the game is pretty stellar. So yeah, it's you know, either way you slice it, he didn't want any. So
so as I mentioned, we really don't have a whole lot else to talk about. I think there's one more thing we can talk about though, which is that now that Felicia and Mimi are both on the block, locked in, the question becomes what I'd been talking about prior to all this Corey stuff, which is, will this vote flip? Because Felicia versus Mimi is a weird choice to make. Cam wants Felicia because he thinks that she'll be a bitter jury vote. He wants her off the jury. But if I'm Matt and Jag, Mimi just performed very well in the veto competition. She came in second place to Cam. And they are concerned that Mimi might be coming for them. They're concerned that both Mimi and Felicia might be coming for them. And that's to some degree true. So why are they really taking out Felicia over Mimi? Just because of Cam's reasoning doesn't make sense to much people. Like the thing about Cam is that he doesn't convince people of things because he has these wild reasonings. Like his reasoning about Corey needing to go was that Corey and Blue were secretly working together and that they were lying to everybody. And nobody believed that. Matt and Jag were both like, that doesn't make any sense. But Matt was like, I'm fine with it because I have my own sort of thing going on. And Jag was like, that doesn't make any sense. And so his idea of like, nobody else agrees that Felicia shouldn't be on the jury. So the only reason they're fine with Felicia leaving is because it's easy to go along with what Cam wants. And also Felicia is against them. That's what they feel. And they do feel like they have a better relationship with Mimi. But Mimi is a more dangerous player if she's more capable of winning competitions. In addition to that, you know, it's like there's a new series of events that has occurred, which is that during the veto ceremony, Felicia just flat out called out Corey, just like came right at him. I do not know exactly what was said, but basically she called him out in her speech or something along those lines. Then got into an argument with America afterward. And now everybody feels like, yeah, Felicia's anti-Corey. And if Felicia's anti-Corey, it's not anti-Matt and Jag. Not only is she not as threatening as Mimi as a competitor, but she's also maybe not actively coming for us. So why not flip this vote? And this is a conversation that Matt and Jag had shortly after the veto ceremony. They quickly discovered and sort of came to the conclusion that they probably don't have the votes to make it happen. You know, it could be them and Bowie maybe, but now that America and Corey have been called out by Felicia, they're not going to want to take out Felicia. Or they're not going to want to vote to keep Felicia, I should say. And it's hard to find a fourth vote. Plus, they're now like taking a shot at Corey essentially by keeping Felicia, and they don't want to do that. They just saved him. They don't want to lose his loyalty immediately. So they kind of talked themselves out of it. But the fact that it came up at all, and it's only Monday, and there's a lot of reasons why you might want to vote Mimi out, to me indicates that this might pop back up again at some point, and we could see this vote shift back and forth.
Do we know exactly what Felicia called Corey out on? Like what the problem is?
Something I think to do with their 4-person alliance is something about like, you know,
But like, what
probably
did
something along the
they
lines of
do?
you're working with everyone, you outed our 4-person alliance, so on and so forth. And Corey was like, I didn't even do that. You did.
The key is that so what Felicia should do is, so now that she's got a few votes with like Matt and Jag being like, oh, maybe we should keep her. Now she should go and talk to Corey in America and be like, okay, now no one's going to expect that we would work together and pull that one of those things. And then and everyone votes to keep her. I mean, honestly, I think by the end of the week, I think Felicia will be the one staying, just because like I think people will look around and kind of be like it makes sense to keep Felicia. Like she's less of a threat than Mimi is. You know, I just feel like they know Felicia's game, whereas people don't really know Mimi's game just because like no one really knows what's going on with her. So I feel like, and I don't know, I just feel like people will end up, I think it'll end up just being Felicia stays. I honestly do.
I mean, it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility in terms of the type of personality that Felicia seems to have. Like, you know, she's gotten into like the big fight with Cirie and Jared, and then it was at that point where, you know, a couple of days later, she's in that prayer circle to hope that Jared stays in the house. Like, I feel like if whatever is going to most assist her game, I think that Felicia is more than likely to just like let bygones be bygones. She seems to be that type of person. So I wouldn't put it past her to like go to Corey in America and be like, look, like, okay, now that we've all calmed down, like, do y'all really want me out of this house? Seriously? Because I don't want you guys out. Like, I thought we were going to be in an alliance. Like, come on. Like, and I'm easy to beat. Once again, you know, just the same conversation about like why it's so aggravating that these competitions are so predictable nowadays, because I hate that people are able to strategize solely off of who's going to win this comp, who's going to win this comp. Like, it should not be that cut and dry. But yeah, I think that there's definitely a world in which Felicia stays only because she's not able to be beaten, or she's very easy to beat in competitions. And the fact, like Melissa said, like Mimi has never really been in power, so she's never really had to show her hand. Yes, she's been a part of flips and vote switches and things of that nature, but like no one, I don't think that anyone really knows, except for maybe Felicia, maybe Cirie, what she would do if she did get a piece of power. So yeah, take out the enemy that you don't know versus the enemy that you do.
In my opinion, there's 2 hurdles for Felicia to stay. One is Corey in America. I think that they need to be okay with it. I think they need to be voting for Felicia to stay. Now, this should be a hurdle that she was already over, because at the beginning of the week, they were both like, I wonder if there's a way to keep Felicia. But then Felicia kind of spent the week trashing her relationship with Corey in America, between her conversation with Cam, where she was like, hey, if you don't want to be associated with America, talk to her because she doesn't stop talking about you, which pissed America off. Then this call out of Corey, further pissed America off. Now Corey, for his credit, was like I respect it. She's playing the game. She came at me. I get it. But at the same time, like, if somebody's against you in the game, like just because he gets it on a personal level doesn't mean that he's going to be like super happy to be working with her and saving her this week. So I think she needs to get over that hurdle. And then the second hurdle is Cam, because Jag and Matt and even Corey in America, I think, are not going to want to stick their necks out to save Felicia if it's going to piss Cam off, because for as much as Cam can't win HOH next week and won't be in power, it's still just not really worth it. There's not enough of a relationship between, any of the people on the block right now. Certainly Felicia and the rest of Matt, Jag, Corey, or America, to be like, oh, well, we definitely need Felicia in the game. We can't have Mimi. So, why bother? Especially for Matt and Jag, like their relationship with Cam means more. It matters more, because they're kind of, they're not planning for him to leave next week necessarily anymore. Maybe Matt still is going to try to make that happen, but they want the option, but they also want the option to be able to continue to work with them or work with him. And so I think that they are going to be very reluctant to make the move without Cam's approval. And after Jag just pushed so hard to prevent the Corey move, I think that they might be reluctant to even bring it up as a possibility because it's like, listen, you stopped me from going after Corey. Now you won't even get out my original target. Are you kidding me? So I think that's the second hurdle for Felicia. I don't think either hurdle is impossible. I think both make it difficult. But as I said, I don't think it's not out of the realm of possibility that this happens.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the first hurdle I think is definitely more doable than the second. I mean, it's hard, you know, shifting Cam's mind. I mean, we just know how Cam is. So Felicia would have to be doing a lot of work over the next couple of days to try to mend some type of fence with Cam and let him know, like, look, I put you up before, you put me up before, like I'm easily beat. Like she needs to really like sink that in his mind in order for that to be a thing. As far as America's concerned, I could easily, like, Felicia, you could literally go to America and be like, look, I said that because he pissed me off, and I knew saying that would piss him off. I don't give a damn about like what's going on like between that whole you, Corey, Cam thing. Like, I don't care. I just he was making me really upset, and that's why I just said that, because I knew it was gonna like just grind his gears and chap his hide. So I think that there's definitely a way for her to sort of like escape. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an uphill battle. But like, if you're able to appeal to Cam, and then if she would have to, then she the other thing is, like, I guess this would be a third hurdle, is that then she would have to be going behind her number one allies back in Mimi and trying to appeal to Matt and Jag about how Mimi is actually a threat. And like, that's sort of something that I don't even think that Felicia would be willing to do. I mean, I've seen Felicia go against Cirie, but I've never really seen Felicia have bad things to say about Mimi, at least not in my recent memory. So yeah, I think it's definitely it's a minefield of a road for Felicia. I think that if she's going to stay, it's going to be similar to what happened the last time, and it's going to be the other people working around her for her to stay more so than her herself.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say, is that I think that if Felicia stays, I don't think it's going to be because Felicia's like going around and doing all this campaigning and all this sort of stuff. I honestly think it'll just be like the other people get together and say, like, it just seems like Mimi's a bigger threat. Felicia, like, I don't think we have to really be worried about her getting power, like, or whatever they want to say, and just like decide as a group that they want to take out Mimi instead, not because Felicia's going around and doing all this great work. Like, not that she can't, but I just feel like that just seems more the way that this will happen versus like having to go over these hurdles that like just seem not easy to get over.
All right. Well, let's do some survey questions, some survey answers, maybe I should say. You still have roughly 24 minutes if you want to fill these out. There's I'm already seeing some close votes, so your vote may matter. But I asked the audience to rank the players from their favorite to their least favorite. There's a very clear top three. Do you guys have a guess as to who that top three is and in what order?
I guess favorite would be Cirie, probably.
I think she's up there. Yeah, I would say.
I just can't think of anyone else that would be number one at this point.
I feel like Matt's probably making his way up there now that a few people are gone. Maybe I think Corey's up there. So like maybe Cirie, Corey, Matt. Corey, Cirie, Matt. One of the two.
I think Cirie, Matt. Maybe Corey, but I don't know if I feel like people online are starting to sour on Corey, or not, maybe not starting to, but I feel like, I guess maybe it's just like my time. I'm getting a lot of negative Corey energy right now, which I don't really
I think it's just the uptick because people wanted to see a backdoor happen, and now that it's not happening, they're like, screw Corey.
I don't get where all this Corey hate is coming from at all. I feel like he's not a bad guy. He hasn't done anything that I've seen that's been like bad.
They just want
Have
to
you
see
listened to the
comeuppance.
makeout sessions, Melissa?
Okay, yeah, that is bad. That is bad. Okay, that
They
is
don't
bad.
like that stuff, and they just want the comeuppance of like, oh, Corey did all of this stuff to get these people out of the house. Now let him get some of his own medicine. But now that it's not happening, people are like, what the hell? That's not how Big Brother works. So I think that's a little bit of it.
I don't know. It's just so weird to me. It's just so negative. And then like anytime somebody says something about Corey that's positive, they get just like so many replies just being like, have you seen when you're supporting Corey? Nah, 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 nah. And I don't understand it. Like like I've said before, I like Cirie and I like Corey. And I don't feel like those two need to be mutually exclusive. Obviously, it would have been an easier world where they worked together. But like, I don't get it.
I think it's also just and don't come from me, y'all. This is on y'all. I think it's the AmeriCorey stands of it all. They can be a little insidious, and it's okay. That's y'all faves. That's what y'all gonna root for them. That's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but what I'm saying is y'all are very loud. And so I think that turns a lot of people off, at least on Twitter. I think the broader scale of the fandom, they don't give a damn. But I think that in terms of like what people might be seeing on their timelines, I think you're seeing a backlash to all of the AmeriCorey-ness of it all. So
yeah, I mean, I can speak from my experience. I think that like this is how it usually happens, is that during the season, as the season progresses, like the fans start to war amongst themselves. And I don't care, I'm not in the war, but my likeness gets pulled into the war. People will post clips of me like saying a thing that agrees with their position, and then people will be like, screw that guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And then another clip of me will go to the other side, and they'll be like, screw that guy, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And I'll just become an enemy to both sides. The thing is that people just get pulled into the war that's happening amongst the fans. And so you kind of just have to, do your own thing. Just you can't let it. There's a war happening, and you respect the war. You're anti-war, but you respect what's going on.
I am Switzerland this damn season. Okay,
yeah.
The only thing that I had of leg of the race was my draft. Okay, and y'all see what a battle that was for me. Because, but after that, woo, it is what it is.
No, I agree. I feel like this season has had a lot of like rootable people throughout for various reasons. And I feel like every week there's like a new person to root for, at least from my perspective. And sometimes there's no one to root for. So, that's just what's going on too. So I don't feel like I'm so on one side of the divide at all. And I just feel like there's a narrative being pushed that like certain people are on certain sides. And that's that.
Yeah, I got a bunch of hate this morning, like me, because people were mad at Corey not being backdoored, and they were like, "This, I know Taran's so happy about this. I can't stand him." I got death threats this morning because of that.
Serious?
I'm serious.
Like you didn't have anything to do with. Like
meanwhile, I woke up and I was like, "Oh, I guess a boring week."
Yeah.
See, that's what I don't understand is like, and this is the narrative that's been coming out about the Roundtable too, is that we're so anti-Cirie, and that anytime Cirie does anything, we're like pissed off about it, and that we're so pro AmeriCorey that like they can do no wrong, which is like, I don't get that at all. Like, obviously, like I played up like the whole, oh, I will, they won't, they, I love that sort of thing in the beginning, like, but I don't feel like we've ever like rated people like in a way that didn't make sense. I feel like I'm constantly rating Cirie high. There was that one week where we were like, darn, we have to rate Cirie low. This sucks. And it's like, I don't get where this like whole thing is coming from. It's like, I don't know. It just feels so like as if no one's watched the podcast.
Well, I mean, it goes the other way too. There's a strong contingent of people that are upset that we are too pro Cirie. It's just like it just exists. It's just out there.
Just how it is.
And it's not just us that deal with it too. It's everybody in the fan base. This is just kind of how it works with any fan base. It's just that like this particular one, it's a very intense experience for a very extended period of time. of course, everyone involved is biased to some degree, including us, including our ratings. We do our best. Aman sometimes gives 10s. And sometimes they work out.
But you know what? Like, because I will do that, and I will not shy away from that. But like, because I agree that like a lot of people, I think there's a big portion of the fan base that's reasonably minded and measured, and they want to go to a place that has like some like a good sense of impartiality, right? But at the same time, like it's a game, and
we're not journalists.
We're not exactly, and Big Brother is not
just commentating.
It's not exactly impartial. And so like if I want to give a random 10 to somebody when they are like absolutely in a crappy position, I think that people should have the liberty to do so, because it's just
we're just having fun.
Okay. So yeah, like I think everyone wants everyone else to be impartial, but not to the point where it upsets whatever paradigm that they have for the people that they like in the season. Like whoever you've chosen to be your avatar for this season, you are going to do your best to make sure that you don't see most of the negatives that are coming their way. And if someone is trying to get that person out, even if it's a good reason for that person to get your fave out, you're going to do everything in your power to spin an argument that means, oh, this is a bad move for you to take this person out because I said so. It's Big Brother, y'all. Like people can take anybody else out for whatever reason they want to, which is why even though Cam as a person is kind of unsavory, as a player that brings drama and intrigue to the game, it's interesting because you have someone that really is a wild card that will do whatever the hell that they want, and it makes things harder for everyone, not just your faves, not just the people that you don't like. It just and that's, isn't that life? Like we talk about how Big Brother's a microcosm of life. Yes, you're going to have people in your life or situations in your life that just come out of nowhere, and maybe it's to your benefit, maybe it's not, but that's life, and it's going to happen. It's frustrating, but that's how it is. So, it is what it is.
The most interesting thing to me is and we've talked about this before, but like, is this a good move? Is this a bad move? Because there really is, and I'm curious about, maybe we should dig into the psychology about it someday, but like, there is this sense that like, if you are able to convince people that it's the wrong move for the player to do the thing you don't want them to do, that like, for some reason, I think it just feels like that will stop them from doing it or something. I don't know, but like, it's very important that it's like, that's the wrong move, and everyone needs to recognize that they're doing the wrong thing, right? Like, because we don't like what they're doing. But for me, it's like, if I'm like evaluating a player, and I want them to be like, they're an impressive player, it's always the best move to go against them. Right? Like it's always the best move to go against Dan Gheesling, right? Like anybody that ever doesn't go against Dan Gheesling is doing the wrong thing. And that's because he's so good. That's why he's so good, because they don't. And if it's the wrong move to go against a player, that's just like, and then people do it anyway, then that's like a further indictment on them as a player, that it wasn't even the right thing for somebody to go against you, and they still did it. Like, oof, like you really screwed up if that happens.
Yeah, it's just like, it's just difficult, because it's like, I just feel like there's no winning sometimes. It's like, if I say nice stuff about one player, I get, oh, you're too nice to that player. And then I say nice stuff about another player. It's like, oh, you never say anything nice about this other player. Like, wow, okay. It's just like, it gets so tiresome. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know.
That's why when I really, really like somebody and I am biased as hell about that person, I do the most for that person. Because I was like, you should already know what it is when you come to my page. If Davon is on Big Brother, I don't give a damn. Okay, you're gonna get what you're gonna get, and it is what it is. Okay, so like, and if it's not Davon or somebody else that I really like, then I'll do my best to be impartial. But now that's only gonna work if that person's not going against Davon. So because if they are, then
yeah,
it is.
I feel like also it's like, we're considered impartial if we are agreeing with that, like the audience, like with their faves. But if we're against it, we're biased.
Yeah, because the audience doesn't agree. So whichever thing you're saying at the moment agrees with whichever like the other people will then say that you're not being a narc.
Right.
Like that's which is kind of the point, right? Which is fine. Like you know, at the end of the day, the audience is the audience, and they can consume the content however they want. You know, just try to avoid sending hate if possible.
Yeah, I feel like it's the hate that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's the death threats that's the problem. It's not really the like, oh, we're disagreeing about who we think is a good player. You know, that stuff is fine, but it's like when it's taken a step further, that's when it's kind of like, okay, we're here to have fun.
It's the society we live in at this point.
Yeah.
But it's also a very small percentage of the audience and the community at large. I genuinely, and I mean this, I genuinely think the Big Brother community as a whole is a very positive place full of people that are really passionate about a thing. And it's very easy to get caught up in the negativity and the vitriol and the wars that happen because those are like the loudest and most, you know, sort of visible things. But I know from experience, and I know we all know this from experience, that there are so many great people that that watch this show, that enjoy it, and that are like happy to contribute to the community in a positive way. And you know, I think that it's good to remember that from time to time.
Yeah, the positive usually outweighs the negative. I mean, and there's so many things written in psychology about like why the negative sticks out more. You know what I mean? Like, so when you get that one comment on your timeline that's like negative, you all, that's the one that rings out to you. But you know, you just have to keep reminding yourself, like Taran said, that that's usually a smaller portion of your experience, unless you're just a person that's looking for that negativity. Then your timeline's probably going to get filled with it because Twitter is still an algorithm at the end of the day, so they're going to keep sending you things that they think that you are going to engage with. So just, you know, if you want a little less negativity, then maybe don't feed the negativity. And so yeah, it's you know, it is what it is. But I'm interested to see who the actual top 3 is, because we still haven't got to that.
I know, oh my god. Yeah, who
all
is
that
it?
discourse. Here's the top 3. It's Cirie, Corey, and America.
Oh wow!
See,
I thought
the
Matt would be up
AmeriCorey
there.
stands they're coming through.
Wow,
they're loud.
I really did think it would be Matt. Where's Matt on that list? Is he next?
Matt is 4th, but it's a distant 4th. It's a very, very clear top 3. Big drop off. Then Matt, then Jag, then Mimi, and then I've already kind of given away. Then Felicia, then Bowie, then another big drop, Blue, and then a drop, Cameron at the bottom.
Matt, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Really worth noting, the only true distinction here is like Cirie, Corey, and America are very clearly at the top. Then there's a huge chunk of people that are fairly close together. Matt, Jag, Mimi, Felicia, Bowie. And then there's Blue, and then there's Cam.
Yep.
I asked the audience to rate the episodes this week. Last week, they were given a 5.0. This week, a 4.4.
Last
night did not help.
Yeah.
The recap of the recap of the recap. Yeah, I can't imagine it did.
Yeah, for the game to have finally started moving again, only to have that episode be like the return of the game to the show again, was not great. Now I was thinking like, but just wait, because Tuesday's episode is gonna be pretty good. And now I'm like, it's probably gonna suck.
Yeah, now it's like, oh, never mind.
It's gonna be another one of those episodes where like nothing, like they're probably gonna pretend to build it up and then nothing happens. And from the episode perspective, you're probably gonna be like, it was never gonna happen.
But it was.
You know what I mean? Like, because the episodes, they cry wolf so often that you don't believe them. And so like they're gonna act like, oh, what if Corey is backdoored? And you're gonna think it's just regular misdirection, waste of time. When in reality it was so close.
I thought for sure it was gonna happen. I really did. So I was very surprised.
Yeah, it came very, very close. So close. But yeah, episodes not that great. I mean, remember, I fell asleep during one of them. So.
That's true.
And that was at the better episode of the week.
Yeah, that was Thursday.
Right? So there you go.
I asked the audience to rate the feeds this week. Last week they were 2.9. This week a 5.2. So back up, but not amazing. Honestly, like, I think if it were just the last like 48 hours, I'd say pretty decent, pretty good. But prior to that, it was pretty bad. You know, the previous, I guess, I don't know, 48. I don't know how long it's been. So I could see like an averaging out to around a 5 could make some sense there. Then how would we rank the season as a whole? It had been quite high. It had gone. It was a 7.7 just 2 weeks ago. Then it dropped to a 6.4 last week. This week, it held at a 6.4.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They stopped the bleeding.
Yeah.
They've not gone up, but they've stopped the bleeding.
Yeah, it's not great. Honestly, like, it's lost a lot of its steam for me. That's for sure. I just feel like the first few weeks were just so good. But I just think like, I think it's a product of having like the same people winning power all the time. Like whatever that power is, whether it's veto, whether it's HOH, whether it's like a zombie comp or whatever, like the same people keep winning. And that's boring. You know, we want to see switch ups. We want to see changes in power, etc. And this is just like, to me, it's not exciting because we then see the same conversations over and over. And there's no like reveal of information or anything like that, which is like what I really like. So yeah, just not great.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to think of like, okay, if the season just coasted from here and it was just kind of like probably just Matt kind of steamrolling to the end, you know, and he wins maybe and nothing, you know, it's just a regular game from this point out. I feel like stopping at around a 6 or so could make sense. I think that the first 44 days were outstanding. And so even if the rest is kind of meh, sort of like Big Brother 20, it still would be an above average season. If it's actively bad, you know, like if things get worse from here, more boring, more toxic, maybe like there's a less satisfying winner even. Like I could see this moving down a bit more. And then if something exciting happens, like I don't know, Cirie socially dominates the rest of the game and then pulls out a win. I mean, I would say that's a pretty good season. And for me, that would boost it a bit. So, but who knows? Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people right now, just because of the frenzied and frenetic nature of the beginning of the season, in comparison to that, it feels like a slog. And it's not even like this is like the worst of the worst of the worst slogs that we've seen in Big Brother. It doesn't even come close to that. But I think that people are just coming down from that high and they just want to see things get shaken up again. They just want to see things move. And some of these twists were allegedly supposed to make that happen, but no, it's sort of just continued a certain level of status quo. So I think people are just really soured by that. But I don't think that means that this isn't like one of the better seasons that we've had recently. And I do still think that there is some time for things to get a little funny and a little funky. You know, I hope that maybe I think we need a little bit more of the crapshoot HOHs to really help us spice some things up, because without those, if we're just going to continue to get like physical comps from here on out, yeah, prepare to just see Matt and Cam continue to dictate how the rest of the season is going to go. And yeah, maybe they're able to take out Cam, but I mean, then it's just going to be the Matt show, you know? So it's just, you know, I'm still being optimistic that some of these HOHs will be in our favor in terms of those that want, you know, a toss up. So
Yeah, it's like they're already planning around a Matt or Jag HOH because they're like, well, if next week is slip and slide, obviously they win. So
Ugh,
what would they
that's
do? Like,
so
it's
annoying.
just like the fact that they might be right and it might be slip and slide, and like it's just too predictable. The competitions are too reliable. They're too winnable. It's yeah.
That's not how I should have to play my game. This isn't sports. You know what I mean? When people if people want like a comp focused show, go to the damn challenge or go watch football. I hear it's on this season. Okay? I don't want to see that. I want to see people. First and foremost, I want the social games to be paramount in Big Brother. Okay? I want the comps. Yes, some of them can be physical. The majority of them should not be. I want the comps to be a means to an end, not like the end all be all when it comes down to like the end of the season. It's so like the fact that people are already like, oh, okay, well, Matt and Jag, which one of them, like, who do we have to buddy up to next? Like, come on. Like, Cirie should have a shot at an HOH. Mimi, she's up there. So she's a little better off. But Felicia should have a shot at another HOH. You know, like, why was she the last woman to win? This is crazy. Like,
Cirie's won more challenges on Survivor than in Big Brother. Which is weird. Yeah. It's a weird thing.
I hate it.
Shouldn't be that way. I asked the audience to rate Cam's HOH reign. I'm actually I didn't prep this, but I'm curious about how they rated Cam's previous HOH reigns. So the last HOH reign they gave Cam a 4. That's when he took out Izzy, and then the HOH reign before that they gave Cam a 2.8. That was when he failed to take out Jag. This week, little bit in between, they gave him a 3.7. I think he started this week playing the best HOH week he's ever had. I liked what he was doing. He was setting very clear targets. He was having conversations with people. He was taking in information. He was locking in alliances and relationships. And I was like, okay, all it took was 3 tries and getting evicted once, and he can finally learn how to play the game. And then he was like, hold on, we need to target Corey. And the idea to target Corey was terrible for him in the first place. The way he went about trying to target Corey was even worse. The only reason it even had any traction at all is because Matt wanted to set him up to be evicted next week. He had to be talked out of it by Jag, who got pissed off at him in the process because he was so adamant about wanting to make it happen. And so the thing is, it was, in my opinion, a terrible, I think fairly objectively a terrible idea to take out Corey, considering that Matt's plan was, okay, you take out Corey, we all take out you next. Like, it doesn't get much more definitive than that. However, now having not done it, there's still damage that's been done to Cam's game. The fact that he was so close to targeting Corey or evicting Corey is information that is out there now that can come back to haunt him in the event that Matt still decides he wants Cam gone whenever he wants Cam gone. So it is no matter what the outcome here, just not great. All that said, I do like how he is trying to address the damage control by going to Corey and saying, hey, Blue's been pushing this. He's getting out in front of it a bit more than he would otherwise if he didn't say anything about it. So I like this, and in pinning Corey against Blue in that way is a good distraction for him in the short term. But what I would really like to see Cam do is fix the relationship with Jag in particular, because he really, like, he brought Jag to a breaking point. And if he doesn't get back in with Jag, I think that, especially considering where Matt is with Cam, he could very quickly lose both Cam and Jag over this whole situation, which would not be good. So yeah, I agree. Not a great HOH.
I'm surprised the score is not lower, considering that he was going after two, fan faves. No matter which way people were going to be pissed, whether Felicia went home, whether Corey went home, it would have been not great for him. I really think that they got to get him out next week. I really do. Just get him out of here. It's the longer that you wait, the more and more he's always going to be able to either be in the HOH or veto. The numbers are dwindling. There's still a world in which you can backdoor his ass, right? And now, with the numbers dwindling, you're never going to be able to do that. He's just going to be able to be in every single competition, and you're all going to be sitting there looking dumb, twiddling your thumbs when he keeps beating you or keeps escaping the block. Get him out of here.
I see. I hear that, but at the same time, from my perspective, Cam is not Michael. He's won a bunch of comps now, and he definitely looks very threatening, and I definitely see that. But he's also by far played in the most amount of comps. His comp win percentage is not very good. He's lost a lot of competitions, and he's also not as physical as Matt. And even Jag, who was able to beat him in the veto that he got evicted on. So I don't think he's unbeatable by any means. I think that there are plenty of competitions that both Matt and Jag are capable of beating him in. And because of that, I think that I do still feel like leaving him in one more week while he, it's not a week he can win HOH, and maybe he wins the following HOH, and that's maybe worst case scenario, but you still probably, especially if Corey's still in the game, now he still has Corey to go after 2 weeks, at final 8. And why would he target both of you when he's got Corey to deal with, and that whole situation? And so I feel like there's, for me, an argument, and the reason I go off on a tangent about this is because it's something I've been thinking about a lot, because I do think it's a tough choice, but I still keep siding on the decision for keeping him around one more week, especially if Matt or Jag win that HOH, because winning the HOH, taking Cam out with their own HOH, means only one of them gets to play in the following HOH, and Cam's no longer there to be a target. And then things get tricky with Corey and America, who might be looking to take a shot. Really, I mean, you're vulnerable to the entire house at that point. So I don't know. It's but it's an interesting thought process.
Maybe it's not the best move for Matt and Jag. In terms of everybody else, no. Get his ass out of there.
Oh yeah.
Now.
For sure.
Right now.
The problem is, and this is the thing, I'm also analyzing the game based on the assumption that Matt or Jag will probably win the HOH next week.
Yeah, right. And that's the most unfortunate thing about it is we can't even imagine a world in which there is
an option.
I want Sorry, my bias is showing.
All right. Well, I also asked the audience, did Cam make the right decision for his game? I had to ask, is he making the right decision for his game? Because it hadn't happened yet when I released this survey. But is Cam making the right decision for his game with the veto? Meaning to not use it, meaning essentially to not target Corey. And from my perspective, again, this is a very clear yes. He should not be targeting Corey. The only reason, the only reason Matt wanted him to do this is because Matt wanted him out next week, and he knew that this was disastrous for Cam's game. He literally, when Jag was arguing, was like, but then people aren't going to go after Cam next week if Corey's still here. And so, even though he's done so much damage, even though Corey might be the one to take him out someday, I still feel like very clearly he needs Corey. He needs to have not done this move. However, and maybe you guys can represent this opinion because I don't have it. The audience is exactly split down the middle, 50-50 between yes and no on this move.
I mean, I do think I think you're right in that this probably was not a good move for him to make, but I do feel like once the cat's kind of out of the bag and you've already been so set and telling everybody I'm going to make this move and then backing away from it, like that does give ammo against you that can be used as like, hey, he was gonna do it, but we saved you, you know? And so I do think that that is a way that Corey could be really turned against Cam. So that's not great. I think like if you're gonna be that set and really push for something and then not go through with it, it is like a riskier move. But overall, like, yeah, I think it's better for Cam to not put Corey on the block. I do think that this keeps Corey like more like quiet and appeased because he feels like, oh, Cam is working with me. I was right to trust him. And, you know, that's good for Cam moving down the line because he doesn't need any more enemies. So I think like it really would have turned a lot of the house against Cam had he made this move. Just, I guess a lot of the house, I'm meaning like basically AmeriCorey, but it does feel like, you know, it would be more riskier, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe the audience is the question is fairly general, so maybe the audience is considering the fact that like the move in general was almost backdooring Corey and then not. And if you factor that in, then no, he clearly didn't make the right move. So maybe that was part of it. Maybe I needed to be more specific in the question.
I mean, I feel like part of it is like what Melissa said, and like, you know, going all the way through with this and then deciding to back off of it that's never really the best thing to do. And also, I mean, maybe there's also a world in which, you know, yes, like Jag was all in his feels about it. He's like, I'm gonna put Cameron up next week if he doesn't do this. Like, would you really though? Because like you all been like if it behooves you to have Cameron in the house, right? And you still have other targets that you could be taking out next week should one of you win HOH, you know, such as a Mimi, right? And then you still have everyone going after Cam the following week. Is it the worst idea that Corey is gone and now America is short out of a duo? I don't think so, because the fugitives are theoretically still together, and then you and Matt are still together, and now you're trying to get off that last physical threat before, at that point, what would it be, like final 6? That's not the worst position to be in. So I can see an argument for that.
All right, well, finally I asked who do you want to be evicted this week, and I included Corey because it was still an option at the time. 48% of the audience said Felicia, 29% of the audience said Mimi, and 24% of the audience said Corey. So the 24% is already disappointed. Not sure where their votes would have gone otherwise, but Felicia getting essentially 50% of the vote either way, out of 3 options. So that's the survey. Are we ready for the ratings?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
I would like to run and grab some water, so I don't want to start, but I can still hear you guys.
Okay.
Don't worry, Taran starts.
Well, this is, of course, the portion of the podcast where we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. And these scores will then update the Stockwatch pricing formula that will go into the game that is being played on realitystockwatch.com, where you can buy and sell shares of the player you think is going to be doing the best in the coming week. And we'll also get you the most amount of profit. So let's start off with America, who last week got a 3 in the Stockwatch. And this week, I do not think has improved her lot all that much. Corey very narrowly avoiding being evicted this week. And her reputation in the game continues to not be good. We are now at day 62. And that means that we are nearly 2/3 of the way through the game. I think that if she plans to win, she needs to have more than just Corey advocating for her in the jury. Because Corey's already trying to advocate for her being a good player in the house, and it's getting laughed down. So I think that she needs something, and she has time. So I'm not discounting a lot of her game based on this, but she needs to start, like, jury's starting soon. She needs to start getting some credibility. And now she could get that through competitions, but you can't bank on those, especially given the kinds of competitions that are coming up. The only other way to get that is by developing better relationships, which she unfortunately just has continued to not do, and that's why I'm feeling more and more concerned about that moving forward for her game. So all that said, unlike last week, she hasn't like actively screwed up this week. And so I'm not going to punish her for that the same way I did last week. I think overall for me, it's going to be 3. Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, a 3 for me as well. This has not been a good week for America. I mean, obviously, because the week didn't turn out with Corey getting backdoored, it's not a horrible week for her, but it could have been. Also, the fact that, like you said, her reputation is just not good around the house. She has no credibility. People don't trust her. They don't want to tell her things. And I feel like that's going to make it really hard for her moving forward. With or without Corey, I think she's going to really struggle to like actually get real allies. And that's going to be problematic. I think she needs like an HOH or something in order to get people to feel like they need to talk to her. And then maybe she can develop something in that way. But at this point, like, I'm just worried for her. So yeah, a 3.
I will give her a 4 only by sheer virtue of her being one of the most likely people to get dragged to the final 2. Whereas a lot of these other players, someone is coming after them at some point, right? It's like it's much less likely for some of these other people to even get to that final 2 chair without like having to win something. Now, obviously, that's not great for America, right? It's not great to be a GOAT. That's just, nobody wants to be a Victoria, but I don't think that there is, like Taran said, that there is still time for her to do something that's going to convince these other people that she is here to play, that she is a great player. And if Corey is not in that final 2 chair with her and is in the jury, I mean, I think that he would do a pretty decent job at, telling the inner workings of her game. Maybe even I could even see him maybe even saying like, oh yeah, that wasn't my idea, that was hers. You know what I mean? I would not put that past him to do something like that. So there's still there's a little something there still, but yeah, she's really gotta start focusing on getting those jury votes, because at this point in time, it's not looking great.
All right. Well, Aman, the audience last week gave America a 4, and they did again this week. So America moves up from a 3 to a 4 this week. There you go. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that, but I think it's fair. I think that considering that Corey did not get backdoored, her position has improved to a degree. And I also don't necessarily disagree that she's likely to be taken down the road. I mean, I think that she's not super safe, but she's also not in imminent danger like other people are in the game. So,
yeah, there's too many targets ahead of her right now. I mean, that being said, something could still definitely, like the wheel of Big Brother could definitely still land on her, because that's just how the game is. But I think at this point in time, like, she's okay,
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to Blue. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Blue?
Not great, because this whole thing is getting blamed on her, basically. So now, I mean, I guess Corey wasn't trusting her anyway, but I do feel like the fact that the trio over there have decided that it's totally cool to just blame everything on Blue goes to show that like she really doesn't have very many allies in the game at all at this point. So I don't really know like what she's doing, really. I don't really know what her path forward is. I think if Corey and America end up like wanting to target Blue because of this, instead of looking at maybe Cam or someone else, like, that's really not good for her. But I do feel like I don't know if I feel like he's actually going to do that. I just have a feeling that more information is going to come out. Like you said, say Corey wins HOH. I do feel like more information would come out to indicate to Corey, like, hey, Cam was really going to backdoor you, and maybe it wouldn't be Blue's the number one target anymore. But yeah, I just don't think that she really has any true allies at this point. So I think I was at a 4 last week, so I'm going to bring her down to a 3 now.
All right, Aman.
Yeah, I think a 3 is appropriate. Maybe even a 2. So I was going to say 2 at first, but Melissa kind of convinced me to go for 3 because, yeah, I do think that if like, let's say America or Corey win HOH, right? There could be a world in which like, they go after her initially, but then it gets brought to light just how much, you know, she wasn't the only one that was going after him. And, you know, and once again, Cam is in the house still. So there's always the shot to take at Cam ahead of her. Now, if Matt or Jag win HOH, then she's probably a lot more in danger. And those are the people that are probably a little bit more likely to win. So it's 2 or 3. I will go for 3. I'll go for 3 because I still think that she can sneak by, but she's definitely not in the best position, being that everything is sort of being punted to her blame right now.
Yes. All right. Well, the audience gave Blue a 4. But only kind of barely, and I have a feeling that considering that the conversation where Cam blamed Blue for the Corey stuff happened after the survey was released, I have a feeling that that this would have been a 3 with slightly different timing. You can, by the way, you can edit your responses up until the time the survey closes. Just it is a feature. You can't submit multiple, but you can edit your submissions. So here's the thing. I was kind of excited over the last couple of days because I was getting ready. I was getting ready to come on this podcast and be like,
that is what we call shmoney.
Told you so.
Don't ever repeat that. That was not something I said.
Forgot there was more to that soundbite.
Strike that from the record.
Goodbye.
Because I gave Blue a 6 last week, and I felt like she was heading in a good direction, and she came so close. She came so close. If Corey had been nominated at that ceremony, Blue is crushing the game. And it was literally like Blue's either gonna like shoot up in the ratings or fall back down. And man, this was just an utter. It was like one of those. It was like the competition that Cam and Jared played. She was getting all the balls in the shovel, and she was almost there, and then one small little ball came out, and then the whole thing was ruined. And now she's left with nothing, in less than nothing, because Corey now knows she's after him. Corey's looking at her very critically now. Jag and Matt are even looking at her. And that was her own fault. She played her hand a little too hard the week prior. And I mentioned this at the time, that she had gotten them anti-Corey, and then Jag started to come back around. And then she kept pushing Corey. And I was like, uh-oh, it's not working. And she even recognized, like, I need to pull back, but she kept bringing Corey up. And I remember that morning in the update, I was like, I think she overplayed her hand here. Jag was not really feeling this conversation. Jag literally was like, can we just go to bed? And that was the moment I think she lost Jag. And ever since, Jag has been saying, Blue's a selfish player. She has her own agenda, and it's spiraled and turned into this avalanche of, well, if Blue is a selfish player, she'll be looking to take a shot at us. Blue's a selfish player. She's more dangerous than Corey. Blue's a selfish player. We need to maybe target Blue. And so all this to say, I do agree with the 3. I think that I do still think that there are outs for Blue. One is that she wins, or somebody like Mimi or Cirie wins, and shots get taken in a different direction. She survives next week. She's still seemingly one of the better competitors left in the house, especially if Matt or Jag or Cam, one of them is to be evicted. She has an even better chance to win some of those comps. I think she has the ability to rebound from here, especially now that she's active. But this is definitely a dip in her place in the game right now, and she's in some imminent danger.
Yeah, it's almost as if she pulled too many hints or pointers from her boo thing, because just as intense as he is, it seems like she's picked up on that as well. It's like you really want, like, you want to present your idea for a target, with a question. You know what I mean? It's like, or just like with a small worry, be like, you know what, guys, like, and please don't say anything. Like, don't let this leave this room, but I'm like a little bit worried about Corey. Is there a world in which maybe we should think about that? And like, just drop it there. Let people like bite a little bit, then move on. Then when the opportunity presents itself again, be like, "Ooh, Cam, so I did have a conversation with Matt and Jag. We did think that maybe Corey should be taken out. I don't know yet though, but like maybe that's something that should be on the radar." Somebody like Cam will, take the bait. So I mean, it was very close to happening. So maybe if it hadn't been so heavy-handed on her part, then yeah, this maybe still could have happened. But yeah.
Yeah, I talked about this earlier in the season. I sort of think of it as like don't trash the ex. Like it's an imagined scenario where like you have a friend, you hated their significant other, and you never really said much because they're the significant other. Then they break up, and you're like, you finally see it. I've always hated them. They're the worst. Here's all the things I hated about them. They suck. And in the moment they're like, thank you for finally telling me this, that they do suck. That's why we broke up. Like, this is terrible. And then a week later, they're acting weird around you. You're like, what's going on? Like, oh, nothing. What's happening? You find out they're back together, and you've spilled it all, and what's worse, I think in this particular instance, you're like, but why are you back together? Remember, they suck. Stop being with them. And that's when they really start to be like, okay, no. You got to take that lesson to Big Brother. You can win somebody over in the moment. She had Jag anti-Corey. But then Jag started to get back together with Corey. And she was like, don't get back together with him. Remember, he sucks. And Jag was like, I can make my own decisions.
Yeah. And it's also like, well, why didn't you say all this before? Like, why did you hide all of that information? Like, if that's how you truly felt, then you as my friend should have been. Now, so it's you. You're the problem. You're the person that's toxic, not my boo thing. How dare you? Like, yeah. Sticky.
All right. Well, let's move on to Bowie. Aman, how do you feel about Bowie?
I don't know, man. She's so weird. I just don't, like, I like that she is sort of, no one's really looking at her right now. And as far as this Corey backdoor plan was concerned, she seems to have the right idea for what's better for her, because like if there's like this whole the final 5 thing that's supposed to be between her and 2 duos, then why take out one of the people that's supposed to help her get there, as opposed to not, and getting rid of someone that's really not working with her since the beginning of Bye Bye Bitches. Like so I think that she's starting to gain an understanding of what she should be doing, but at this point it just feels like there is nothing to her name. There's nothing to her name. Her and America are probably the biggest goats. I think that she is more of a goat than America is. I think that there's still something to be said about America's game, but for Bowie, who's voting for her? Unless she's sitting next to somebody like Cam. And even then, I still think that Cam probably still wins because everyone's going to be just like, oh, I cannot believe he beat us all. He got to the end. He won his way out. Like, he deserves the win. So even then, it's like, I just don't see a path for her to win this game. She might get to the final two, but to win? No. So I think I'm going to be fair, because if I'm going to give America points for getting to the end, then I have to do the same for her. But I don't think that she can really win. So I think I'll give her a 3, only because she did seem to be protective of the end game, which seems to be constructing itself around her. She's not constructing it. She's just doing whatever she can to get in with the people that are in power to construct it around herself. So.
All right. A 3 from Aman. The audience disagrees with you, Aman. They gave Bowie. Hold on. They gave Bowie.
Wow, a 5.
A 5 for what?
I guess I'll explain it because
Wow, another 5.
I'm also giving Bowie a 5.
You gonna make me do it. You're gonna make me do it. You're gonna make me do it. Go ahead, I'm listening. Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, here's why I think Bowie is in a better position to win the game than America.
You just hear him on like
Bowie has
shouting.
better relationships than America does, by a huge margin. Bowie is actively playing a floater game. And while I agree, I think that her chances to win are not very high. I think that against somebody like America, she can still win. Against somebody maybe even like Blue, I think Blue has a good case to make, but it depends on how things shake up in the next 40 days. And I could even see her, against Mimi having a chance. Could she win against Matt, Jag, Cameron? She could, I think, maybe win against Cameron. Could she win against Corey? Maybe. But is she likely to win in those scenarios? No. I want to make that clear. But
Right.
She is one of, if not the safest people. Okay, that was a terrible way to say that. She's one of the safest people in the house. She's got like 3 or 4 different final 5s that she's in. She's got like 2 or 3 different final 3s that she's in. And she's basically a lock for the final 5 to maybe even the final 4. A lot of people looking at her as probably somebody to take to the end. And a lot of time to gain some credibility with the jury. And here's where I think that like she could get some respect in the end, because while no, people don't like super respect her in the house right now, they do like her a lot. A lot of people say, we like Bowie, we trust Bowie, we want to work with Bowie. They're not saying we'll drag Bowie. They actively want to work with her and they actively trust her. And if they get to the jury house and they're pissed off at whoever won a competition and kicked them out of the house, and they hear, man, well, I had Bowie. And then somebody else is like, no, I had Bowie. They're like, what do you mean? No, I had Bowie. Bowie was definitely with me. We'll say Corey. And then Jag will be like, actually, Bowie was with me. And Corey will be like, no, she wasn't. And Jag will be like, yeah, she was. She was anti-you. And he'd be like, no, she was anti-you. I feel like there's a world where that can work. Now, this is very hypothetical, obviously. And for me, Bowie's rating as a 5 right now is entirely based on the fact that there's still 40 days in the game left and that she's probably going to be there for the vast majority of those 40 days. As time goes on, if things don't look better for her, the score might go down. But because there's enough time and because we don't know how things are shaping out to look like, while she is probably going to be very safe, I still do kind of like her position, especially with sort of the tools that she's been working with. So that's where I have Bowie. It was the same I gave her last week, but last week we all kind of agreed. So Melissa, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I don't know if I see like Bowie winning in the end, but I do think we're getting to the point in the season where it's like, I don't want to waste an HOH on getting out Bowie when there's so many other like either big threats or pairs in the house. So I just feel like until those pairs get broken up or until like the big threats get taken out, I don't feel like I see anybody just being like, yeah, I'm just going to take out Bowie this week. And so I think like she's going to stick around for a bit longer. And, you know, like Taran was saying, there is still time for her to do something with that. I don't know if she will. At this point, I don't really see a Bowie win, but, you know, as there's less people, there's more chances to win competitions. And so maybe when she gets some power, you know, she can really start to make something of her game. So I'm going to give her a 5 as well.
I mean,
I don't mind your score though, Aman. Like I see where you're coming from. Like she hasn't really done anything yet. And I think like my thought is just like, is she getting targeted versus like what's she doing? Because if we're rating just on like what Bowie's doing to me, like I would agree. I think like a 3. But like I do think that she's not going to get targeted yet. And because other people are going to get targeted, that's like the reason why I gave a 5. But I could see a 3 making sense.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that there is like, yeah, there is something to be said about, you know, being generally well liked, and that's great. You know, that's always great in Big Brother. And yes, there is time, but like just the way that she's been playing for 60 days, I'm like, I don't see it changing. I just think that she's just going to continue to do what she's been doing. And yes, it's a viable strategy, but until, I guess here's how it is. This happens a lot with Big Brothers. Like until I know for a fact that's what she's actually doing and she knows what she's doing, I'm not prepared to give her any flowers just yet, because, and it might not be through any fault of her own, because she doesn't really get a lot of DRs. She's not really a part of a lot of conversations that, you know, I guess the production makes us think that she needs to be a part of any of the main storylines, other than like, oh, let's hear her accent real quick. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they wanted her to be a character. That's all we're getting on the edited episodes. I don't really know what she's doing outside of like playing that floater game, but I just don't know if she knows how valuable that position is. So I'm just sort of like, if you were to get to that final 2, can you articulate that? Or will it just be like, I don't know, man, I kind of just wanted to just come in here and be me and, you know, just make as many friends as possible. And I felt like that would get me to the end, and it did. Okay, but that's not, that on paper kind of sounds good, but what did you do in the game? Especially when there's so many people that are moving all throughout this house. They're going to want to award somebody who's also been moving. That's just how I see it. I feel like yes, they like Bowie, but do they respect her game? I don't know.
See, I think I would push back. I don't think Bowie would say that. I think that Bowie does actively talk game, and if she were to explain her game, it would be a lot more specific than I think maybe a lot of the audience might expect. But you know, I think that's because it's very easy to sort of not pay a lot of attention to when Bowie talks game. But like she's always from the start been in it. It's just she kind of has a demeanor that makes her feel a little aloof and a little spacey. But like you know, if you're talking game with her, like she'll be there talking game with you, talking strategy, like with the likes of Jag, with the likes of Corey, just as deep sometimes. And then she'll throw in a comment like, yeah, I just don't have a concept of time though, so I'm not sure when that happened. But like she's there, you know what I mean? Like I think she might surprise some people in terms of what she's able to advocate for herself.
Yeah, you know, I don't think that she's a total stick in the mud. I thought that she was a total stick in the mud maybe like 3 weeks ago, for sure. But granted, it's kind of hard not to be called a total stick in the mud when you had someone like Izzy Fields in that house. So like if you weren't on Izzy's level, then whatever you were doing was never going to match up. So I'll take both of your opinions. I get it. I'm just not quite convinced quite yet.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's talk about Cam then. The audience is going to start with Cam. They gave Cam last week a 4, and again this week they're giving him a 4. I can't quite agree there, though. I think that I'd be willing to go a 4, maybe even a 5 if I was just looking at the start of this week. The problem is, A, I don't like that he won HOH. B, I especially don't like that he won the veto. C, I especially don't like what he almost did with the veto. And then I guess D, I especially don't like that he even did any of it at all. And well, I think that not using the veto was better than using it. If he had used it, I would have given him maybe a 2 or even lower, maybe a 1, because I feel like, I mean, basically the entire house was set up to take him out next week if that had happened, and now he might have some space. So for that reason, I'm going to give him a 3. But his time is still very limited. He doesn't have the relationships required to stay very long. It's been made very clear to us that both Matt and Jag are looking to take him out at some point. And a lot of things will have to change for him to have a real path to the end. And so on top of him really playing this very strangely with the almost backdoor of Corey, I just can't go very much higher than that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, although I kind of tend to side with the audience on this one just because I do feel like he's got Jag and Matt kind of in his corner, and now and they haven't yet told Corey like, oh, Cam was going to do this. I think they probably will use that against him in the future, but I think at this point it shows that they are wanting to keep him around a bit longer. Seems like Corey like might be wanting to keep him around a bit longer. I just feel like everyone's wanting to keep him around a bit longer, and that bit longer is just going to allow him to keep winning. So I don't know what's going to happen, moving forward, but I do feel like if he keeps winning out and he gets to the end, he has a really good argument for a win. And even if people don't really like him, I think people would respect that sort of like win it. Like we tried to get him out multiple times. We could not get him. So yeah, I could see him winning. But I do think that he really has to like kind of win out at this point, unless, Matt or Jag wins HOH and then maybe they'll, keep him around. So he's not like so far up, but the fact that he currently has some people not targeting him is a good sign. So I'm going to give him a 4.
Right. I also, I guess I would say, I don't know that Cam really can win a jury vote. We know that Corey doesn't really respect his game, that like, even if he made it there. In fact, Corey specifically brought up a couple weeks ago, Jackson, and how he said Jackson won unanimously, even though that didn't happen. And that's not how he would have voted with Jackson. Even though Jackson won out and it was impressive that he got there, he still would have felt differently and he would have given his vote to Holly. And so I think Corey is going to be...
You think he would feel that same way if it was Cam and Blue? Or do you think that it I just don't know.
I kind of think so. I mean, I would be not surprised at all if Corey was an anti-Cam voice on the jury. And then there's like, where do people like Cirie go? Sorry, that's that got me in the chat.
Not that.
Not that again.
Then there's it's just like, who does he actually win against is the question. Maybe it's Bowie. I could see him winning against Bowie. But I definitely don't think he wins against Jag or Matt. And I definitely don't think he wins against Cirie. And who else is he going to be there with? Probably, I guess America would be his best bet. And maybe that's what he's hoping for. But I do think that he needs a kind of specific final two to properly have a chance of win. I don't think he's the guy that wins in any situation if he makes it there.
No,
which
I don't think so. For sure.
not a great place to be if you don't have a lot of influence over where the game goes in the first place. But yeah, Aman.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of of two minds about that, because that's how I feel. Like, I don't care how many comps that man wins. Like, if I don't like you, I'm not giving you my vote. I don't give a damn. Call me bitter, call me whatever you want to call me. You had to win those comps to get to that point, and that's not fun. Like, okay, great, because production sucks, you won. So, but I don't know if everyone feels that way. I'm glad that Corey feels that way, and I'm glad that, like, if Corey ends up in jury and Cam is in the final two, I pray to God that Corey is the one to like everybody wake up. Can we all remember how he made us feel in that house. Y'all want him to win? Really? Like, I hope that happens if he were to get that far. First of all, I don't want him getting that far anyway. But as far as his rating is concerned, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with 3 because, yeah, I mean, but he's always gonna be the #1 target. He's everyone's shield, meaning that someone's always gonna be targeting the shield, and it's just like, yeah, just get him out of here already. Like, it's either get him out of here or he's just sitting there in the final 2. That's just how I see it at this point. So, and I don't think that, the fugitives. That's it's kind of good for him, and I'm glad that he was able to at least like sort of solidify that for himself. And I mean, getting out Felicia, I guess that's okay, but I also feel like his game is such a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, you're making Felicia a bad juror by telling her that she's going to be a bad juror. Like, that's not, like, what are you doing? Like, so I just, I think I don't think that he has a lot of I don't think he's really going to get to the end, and I just think that even if he did get to the end, I would pray that they would be like, yeah, no, we're not giving him this win. So yeah, 3.
All right, well, let's move on then to Cirie, who got a 7 last week. And honestly, it's tough again because, like, a lot of what she's doing over the last 2 weeks has been very subtle, has been a lot of like social work, talking with America, talking with Corey, sometimes with Blue, with Matt, just like shoring up relationships, essentially like recovering, sort of like rehabilitating her image. And I still like a lot of what she's doing. She was not targeted this week. She wasn't even close to being targeted this week. Nobody is once again considering putting her on the block next week, let alone targeting her, giving her a lot of space to continue to move in the game. And we know that she's dangerous. We know that this is Cirie Fields, who has like, this is the place, this is where she's comfortable. This is where she's worked from in the past, and like been able to really maneuver her way in. And the fact that Corey was not evicted this week, I think, is actually a good thing for her, in the sense that Corey is now going to be on the jury singing her praises of like her legendary status, if she does make it to the end. So I personally see no reason to change my 7 rating. I'm still very high on her potential chances here. The longer that people sit on her, the more dangerous she gets. And she still even has a little bit of ability to sort of like take back control of the house with particular competition outcomes, like Blue or Mimi. I think she has a lot of options, and I think that she's in a perfectly fine place to continue to move forward through the game. Especially if I'm giving Bowie a 5, I think that Cirie makes a lot of sense at a 7.
I totally agree. I think Cirie is, I mean, it's shocking to me how nobody thinks of her as dangerous or a threat or anything. They're just like, oh, she's fine. She's not doing anything. She's not hurting anyone. It's like, yeah, but she will. And just you wait. Plus the fact that, well, so first of all, she's not in any upcoming danger, it seems. She seems to be like, just nobody worries about her, and, she's fine. I think the problem is that she isn't in with the, people making decisions or anything at this point. But that, I think that has a lot to do with the fact that Cameron won HOH, because I feel like if any other person won, there's a chance that she would be in there talking and whatever, but it's just a Cameron thing, I think. Plus the fact that she wasn't just out of the loop for this whole Corey thing or whatever's going on this week. Matt told her about the plan or the potential plan. So the fact that he is still giving her information, still letting her in on what's going on, like, he's in it with her. And so I think that she really does have a good path forward. I think like she just needs the right person to be in power in order to start making decisions. But even if she's not making decisions, she's not being sent home. She's not being targeted. So at this point, I think she's playing a really great game. I'm giving her a 7 too.
I still think Matt wants to be in the final 2 with her.
Oh, for sure.
Which I think is, she's the worst person for Matt to bring to the final 2, but I think she's the person he wants to bring.
I think so. Yeah, I think you're totally right.
And I think Matt is the person most capable of getting to the final two with a person. And I'll also fully admit that like this is still predicated on her reputation and what I know she's capable of. And again, like unlike somebody like Bowie, I know that she ran the game for 44 days. Like I know that she has the potential to really turn things on. So that is definitely gonna be part of the rating for me. Aman, what do you think?
I'm scared, guys. I don't think that she is gonna get to the end, and I really want her to. Like I said before, I really think that it'd just be cool to just have a notch on her belt as a Big Brother winner. That would just be really, really cool. But I'm not that far down on it as you guys are. Like I'm gonna give her a 6, only because it's sort of like more to do with what Melissa just said, and that she's really not in the driver's seat right now, and that's okay. I've come around on the idea that she really didn't need to be this week, and she shouldn't have been this week. She really needed to play that, just stick her head in the mud and just let things do what they're going to do. And a lot of that has to do with her social prowess and just being able to sort of be like, to shrink herself when she needs to, and when she needs to come back up, she will. But at the same time, I don't know if she's, because of these damn competitions, I don't know if she's ever going to be in that position to really make the things happen that need to happen. Yes, Matt probably can take her to the end, but that's assuming that Matt doesn't get taken out first. And I don't necessarily like those odds entirely. So I'm just like, I still think that she played the best game that she could this week. But I don't like how out of it she had to be in order to survive. I don't like that. It just gives me great worry. So I'll give her the 6.
All right. Well, I can tell you the audience is between the two ratings, between a 6 and a 7 here. It is very close. But ultimately, the audience agreed with Aman. They gave her a 6 as well. So there you go. I'm actually curious now, compared to last week. It was higher than last week's 6. Last week was a 6.2. This week was a 6.43. So very, very close to hitting that 7 this week from the audience, but not quite
I hate
there.
that she's losing Felicia too, and like Blue, who's also like someone that's trying to be in with her really good, might be out next week too. It's just like, damn, like all these cards are falling down next to her, and now she has to rely on I just don't like it. I don't like it. It's making me very mad. I think because I'm so used to her having such a big cocoon around her. So it's just now that that's gone and it could shrink even further. It's just making me very, very anxious. But with that being said, the fact that she hasn't been nominated, isn't really the top of everyone's choice to get nominated next week, even if she's losing more and more for people, once again, is props to her social prowess, but it's still not the most opportune. So
I think that's extremely fair. And again, I'll happily say that I'm not only giving her a boost because I think I like what she's actively doing this week, and I love that Matt still trusts her enough to tell her about the Corey plan and that he really wants to move forward with her. But also her reputation and her known ability is helping boost the rating for me. But I think a 6 also makes a lot of sense. Let's move on to Corey though. Melissa, how do you feel about Corey?
Not great. This could have been like such a bad week for him. But I think even though he isn't going home this week, I still think it's a bad week for him. Like, I don't think this was a good week for him. I think the fact that he almost went home, I think I think if he got on the block, I think there could be a way around it. I don't think it's a for sure thing that he would go home, but I think that there was a good chance. I think that's really, really concerning to me. And I think the fact that he doesn't know that, I think is not good. Like he know, and I know that he knows that there was people pushing for him to go on the block or whatever, but he doesn't know just how close it was. He doesn't know that Cam and Matt were doing it. He really doesn't know what's going on in the house right now. He doesn't know who to trust. And the fact that he didn't end up getting put on the block doesn't really, it just lets him sit in that misinformation. And And so I am really, really worried about him. I think he needs to get his head in the game. Like, he is not as safe as he thinks he is. He thinks that he's just, you know, a 6 on the Stockwatch right now, or 7. And that's not the case at all. He is in such a precarious, dangerous position. He really needs to do something about it. He cannot just sit in the hammock or sit wherever with America. He really just needs to get out there, get back in with Jag and Matt. I think that this whole week has been bad for him from the start. So for me, I'm going to keep him at a 2, but he really needs to get some power and do something because it's not looking good.
All right, Aman.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. It's interesting because yeah, he was so close to going home, so it makes me want to rate him a little lower. But he's not gonna go home now. Does it have much to do with anything that he did? A little bit, just a touch. You know, maybe his conversation with Cameron helped just a little bit, but it was more so because of what other people were doing. But now that he's not in as precarious of a situation and he has information now I'm like, okay, Corey, so what you gonna do? Like, I mean, yeah, sure, yeah, going after Blue's not the worst thing, because then Cam is still there for everyone else to go after. He seems to be very aware of Matt and Jag and how they need to go sooner rather than later. And he seems to be talking about more. He seems to talk more about how Matt and Jag need to go than they talk about how he needs to go, right? So that makes me a little, you know, it gives me a little bit of reassurance that he'll make the right decision when he needs to. Can he get the power to make it happen? Well, that's where I'm like, oh damn, you know what I mean? Once again, F these competitions. But I'm a little higher than Melissa. I'll give him. I would have given him the 4, but the fact that he came that close to going home and had no idea, like, I'll give him the 4 because I think that he's still going to be okay going into next week. I think that he will. I think that targets in Blue and Cam are ahead of him. And if by some stretch of the imagination that Cirie were to win HOH, well, then all bets are off. But I don't think that's going to happen, so we'll see.
Well, Aman, the audience does agree with you. They also gave Corey a 4. This is a little tricky for me because here in terms of evaluating Corey's performance, he did good work with Jag this week. He corrected the error of the previous week and got Jag back on his side. That proved extremely critical this week because Jag is the reason he did not get backdoored. So I'll give him some amount of credit for winning Jag back over this week because it was a conversation he had with Jag where afterward Jag was like, I think Corey and America are locked in with us. I think they're down. In particular, he gave really solid logic for why him and America would want to go to the Final Four with Matt and Jag, that Jag actually believed. Now, I don't think that style works with most people, but it does seem to work with Jag, and so he did good work with Jag. But that was more a correction of previous bad work that he had done with Jag the previous week, and not really something that like was actively super positive for him in general. Then he makes the really bad mistake of talking with Blue, raiding the entire house with her, saying he's going after Cam. It nearly got him backdoored. And he only a tiny bit corrected that mistake by finally admitting to Cam that he was targeting Blue, which helped prevent Cam from targeting him this week. But he basically nearly got himself evicted, which is not good. So evaluating performance, it's overall pretty bad. And it would be a pretty low score. Short-term safety is better than it was before. He didn't get backdoored. He has less people targeting him now than seemingly before. But we know Cam is still kind of dead set on him. We know Blue is dead set on him. We know Cirie might target him. So basically, there are a couple of HOH outcomes where he's kind of a goner. And long-term prospects are still terrible because he still has Matt and Jag to deal with. There's now Cam to deal with, Blue to deal with. The thing about Corey's game is that he's been very good about taking people out that are locked in against him. He helped take out Heisem. There was Red. Even, you know, to some degree, the whole Izzy Jared situation. He got rid of Izzy and Jared because they were too locked in against him. Even though Izzy was kind of on his side, she was too locked in with Cirie. So on and so forth. He's always able to get people out that are coming for him, but at the same time, he keeps adding to the list of people that are coming for him. Now it's Blue. Now he has to deal with Blue before he can deal with Matt and Jag. And it's always one person or another that he somehow manages to make an enemy that's just dead set against him. And that's not good. But his position now is better than it was last week because Cam 1 made a bigger target of himself. He now knows the Blue is coming for him, and Blue is now on the outs. So it's this weird combination of like he's done some good things, a lot of bad things. His position is bad, but a lot better than it was. And so it's tough for me to nail down an exact rating, but I think I have to maybe...
His game is like sweet and sour sauce right now.
It truly is. It's the fact that he almost got himself backdoored. I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to give him a 3. But I do actually think for the first time in a while, this could bounce back up next week, depending on the outcome, or it could shoot down because he's on his way out the door. So let's move on to Felicia. Aman, how do you feel about Felicia?
Her sweet auntie. Damn it, man. I at least wanted her to make jury. I'm so sad. Look, Felicia, I mean, not that there was like a lot that she could do because Cameron is stubborn, and once he had the target, it really wasn't much changing it. Surprisingly, now that even when we saw what was going to happen with Corey, but in the end, it really didn't mean much. But you know, she, in her campaign to get off the block, she insulted the HOH, insulted America. America finds out about it. Now she has to dig herself out of that hole if she's to stay. Which I don't think is undoable, but it's just you're adding more work than you needed to add. And now, I mean, and then on top of that, then she apparently had this argument with Corey and America later on. So then it's like another thing that you're just adding on, which we love because it's like, you know, this is why we love when older people are cast, because they, you know, they've been around a while. They've been around the block a few times. They don't give a damn. Okay. And I love that energy. When it's injected into the game of Big Brother, it always makes things more interesting. And it also, I think that it sort of transcends sometimes. It inspires other players to be a little bit more self-interested or to be a little, you know, less, you know, all walking on eggshells. So I applaud her for that. She's been giving us such great content throughout this entire season. And, you know, I mean, we all love Felicia, but she's most likely on her way out. And for that, you know, I really can't give her a really high score, but I will never, ever, ever give Felicia a 1. I'm just not going to do it. It's never going to happen to me. So I will begrudgingly give her a 2. I want to give her a 3, but that's just foolish. Well, but you know what? They do still want Mimi out a little bit. So maybe, I mean, you know, maybe there's a world. Maybe. Oh, but Cam, you know, Cam was already like, he was so dead set on getting rid of her. Then he wanted to get rid of Corey, and now they didn't want him to do that. So now he's going to want her out of here for sure. It's a 2.
The audience agrees. They gave Felicia a 2, as do I. Here's the deal. I'd give her a 1 if I knew for sure she was leaving because she's done terrible work this week so far. But I think there's a chance that she might stay. If she does stay, right now, it wouldn't be due to what she's doing. She could turn that around and she could start doing good things and save herself, but that wouldn't reflect in today's rating because it hasn't happened yet. So I think a 2 makes a lot of sense for me.
Yeah, I would agree, and I just hope she doesn't leave this week. Honestly, I feel like she brings more to the game than Mimi does. I've been wanting Mimi to, bring something to the game, but I feel like she just hasn't yet. Maybe she will, but at this point, I would like to see Felicia stick around.
All right, let's move on then to Jag, who got a 5.
Wow, a 5
from the audience. Man, Jag is another tough one because he did good work to keep Corey around, but I also know that he's a little too far in that direction. He trusts Corey too much. Corey's talking about how Jag needs to go before Matt, which is absurd in many ways. But he did manage to get his way this week in a way that he needed to. That said, Felicia leaving over Mimi is not the best thing for Jag. So he might have prevented his worst case scenario, or one of his worst case scenarios, but he's not necessarily at this time getting his best case scenario, which is Mimi out. And he still has the big, in my opinion, long-term issue of Matt. He's too loyal to Matt. He's too trusting of Matt, and Matt just beats him in so many different ways, and also is happy to prop Jag up as a target in front of him, which is working. So it's tough. And ultimately, man, it's so tough. I'm between a 5 and a 6. But I think that right now he is missing too many pieces of the puzzle. I'm going to go with a 6. I think he can win comps. I'm going to give him a 5.
Oh.
He's in too much danger. I think even as early as next week he could leave. And he is missing too many pieces of the puzzle. Here's the deal. If Corey hadn't said, I want Jag out before Matt, I would have given him the 6. But the fact that Corey was saying that, and at the same time, Jag is like sticking up for Corey so much, sticking his neck out so hard for Corey, that I just can't do it.
Another 5.
I do think that if it came down to it and it was Jag and Matt on the block, I think Jag could use the fact that Matt was pushing for a Corey backdoor against him, and maybe Corey would change his mind in that situation. True. But that's obviously down the line. It's not great that he's thinking that generally. So yeah, I feel like Jag did good work this week. And the fact that, Cam
Sorry,
wins
you just
HOH.
convinced me I'm changing it back to a 6.
Wow, I didn't have to say much. I'm so good. But yeah, so the fact that Jag was able to get in with Cam before this HOH, I think that was really great for him. He seems to be generally in a good spot with, that situation, as well as with the Corey and America situation. And I feel like he's doing fairly well. I think obviously it is concerning for him down the line that Corey has said that, but yeah, I think that it probably won't have as much of an impact as we think, because he has so much ammo now against Cam and Matt. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was going to give him a 5. So I think it's funny that I convinced you to give him a 6. So yeah, I'm going to give him a 5 because I do think that his predicament or his place is precarious. And I'm concerned about him moving forward. I think once it starts getting down to it, I do see people wanting to target him, and that's a concern. Whereas I do think Matt is in a better spot than Jag. So yeah.
Yeah, I think
actually, you know what? I just convinced myself. I think I'm going to give him a 6.
I think Jag did some good work over the last few days, and making sure that the structure that he has found himself within is going to stay that way. He's got his little final five. He's got the fugitives, with to keep his self out of Cam's crosshairs. So I think it's great that he's starting to fight for what he thinks is going to get him to the end. With that being said, that onion is not as healthy as he believes it to be, and he does have a lot of blind spots. So yeah. I'll go with the 5 for variety. Anyway, his full name is
5.
Side note, his full name is just so cool. Like, I just can't stop saying it. Jagadeshwar is just such a, I just love that name. It's just so musical. I just love it.
That was a good name.
Yeah, the thing that got me was that it is like, and this is the value of actively making a play. Jag does now have the ammo on Cam. So with both Blue and Cam in the house, Corey has to deal with 2 big threats to his game before he can even think about targeting Jag. And if he wanted to, he could even sell Matt down the river, but I don't think he will. But even then, by then, he's still in an okay place. There's still so many, like, he's sitting in between Cam and Corey in America. He's sitting between Blue and Corey in America. And so he should have a lot of time. His only worry is like a Mimi HOH taking a shot right at him and Matt. But even then, she might need to deal with Cam first, and a lot of people would want Cam to go first. So, yeah, I think between the rough sort of, and I wouldn't even call it an onion. I would call it more of like he's playing a good middle game right now, or he's playing an okay middle game right now. An okay middle game plus the fact that he's going to win a lot of competitions combines to like a decent position, I think, for me. And that's ultimately where I'm going to go to the 6. But man, it was close. Let's move on then to Matt. How do we feel about Matt? So last week, Matt got an 8. I still feel very good about Matt. Last week, the 8 for me was bolstered by some very good gameplay by Matt. He really was putting himself into a particularly good situation. This week, I felt like there was some stuff that he was doing that I liked, but ultimately his plan here failed, and it kind of leaves him a little vulnerable in a way that it wouldn't have otherwise. The fact that this is the thing that I think is the most dangerous for Matt. While I don't think Jag will rat Matt out, I do think Cam will. And Cam said something to Matt that I think really freaked Matt out, and it should, because Cam said, I was off of the idea of backdooring Corey until you convinced me to do it again, Matt. And so if it gets out that Cam was going to do this, I guarantee you Cam is going to say, Matt is the one that convinced me to do it. And he might even admit Jag talked me out of it, but Matt's the one that convinced me to do it. And that could be a little sketchy. And ultimately, I just like the way that he was indecisive about this move being made, pushing for it, then backing off of it. I'm gonna sort of penalize him in a similar way that I'm penalizing Cam, not quite as much. But I don't think that this was the optimal way to play this week for Matt. He's still the front runner. He's still in a really, really good position to win the game. But I'm also concerned that he wants to bring Cirie to the end. I don't know why he wants to bring Cirie so far if he doesn't plan to take her to the final 2. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There are plenty of people that aren't winning a lot of comps. Why isn't he wanting to take like America to the end? She's a great person to bring to the end, not winning a lot of comps, not really having any chance to win in the final 2 against him, in my opinion. But instead, he's talking about wanting to bring Cirie, and he's telling Cirie information still that she could use to sink him. If Cirie needed to throw Matt under the bus, she could, because he went to her about the Corey plan being all about it. So I still think Matt is in the best position in the game. I still think he's the front runner, but I am going to knock him just a little bit to a 7, because I didn't love everything that he was doing this week.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the fact that, like you said, now Cam and Jag have ammo against him to use and say, like, he was pushing for a Corey backdoor. I mean, I think, like, Cam, even if Cam rats it out, it's like, well, you were also pushing for it. But it's like, yeah, but that makes sense. Like, they're not an alliance together, whereas Matt and Corey presumably are an alliance together, working together. That's the more shocking thing. You're always more upset when you're betrayed by your friends versus like someone that was not working with you anyway. So I think that is a dangerous spot for Matt. Plus the fact that it didn't work. Plus the fact that, like you said, he wants to go with Cirie. You know, I think he's in a really good spot, but I think that these are little things that could hurt him down the line. And yeah, the fact that his plan this week didn't end up working, I don't think it's really that bad for him that it didn't work, but the fact that he tried for it and it didn't work, like the fact that Corey's not going home this week isn't that big of a deal to Matt. I mean, Corey thinks he's working with Matt. He wants to get Jag out before Matt. That's not the problem. The problem is that he tried for it and it failed. And now there's that evidence that's right there that they were trying for this. And that's really bad for Matt. So yeah, I'm gonna give him a 7 as well. But honestly, like, he is the number one player right now. Even though Cirie and him have the same score, if I could do that decimal point thing, Matt's would be higher.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, because again, you know, the criteria for the ratings are very loose in the first place. But for me, if it's just on positioning, Matt is an 8 and Cirie is a 6. But I love to factor in bonuses and penalties for gameplay, and I'm penalizing Matt for being messy this week, and I'm adding a point to Cirie for playing well this week, getting continuing to develop relationships, continuing to maintain her spot with Matt. I'm giving her a bit of a plus and him a bit of a minus is basically what's happening with me. So it might seem wild that they have the same score based on their positioning, but that's why for me. It's not, the scores are not always going to be perfectly representative of their position alone. It's also going to be based on subjective analysis, for my part at least, on how I think they're playing. And that's part of what makes it more fun for me, at least. But Aman, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a sticky situation with the whole thing with the Corey backdoor. I mean, the ultimate thing is that he kind of was still the linchpin for it all, right? Like, you know, and it's like I attribute it more to Jag, that he was able to sort of like convince Matt that this probably isn't the best thing to do, because where does that leave you at the end of this if Corey goes? So I mean, he got spooked. If he would have came back and still been on Cam's side and said, look, yeah, I think that maybe it's Corey, maybe we do need to take that shot, then Corey would be on the block right now. But he got spooked. And yeah, it's a little dicey for him, but I'm also sort of still kind of confident in the fact that he'll be able to weasel his way through and talk his way out of it, because he's been able to do so thus far. You know what I mean? So I mean, like, he seems to he has that type of personality. He just has that type of, demure, thing that he's got going on, where people just are always going to assume that he, even if he's doing the best thing for his game, he thought it was the best thing for your game too, So like, I think, like, look, he's in an alliance called the Fugitives with the two people that are actually fugitives. Jag and Cameron were actually evicted from the house. Why are you in an alliance called the Fugitives with them? Okay, they're on the run, not you. But here, there he is. So it's just like, he's just a chameleon in that way. So yeah, I'll give him a 7 as well. I think he's playing by far the best game in the house. So,
all right. Well, the audience agrees with us. They also gave Matt a 7 this week. It's a 7 from the audience. So straight 7s. Matt will still be the highest average rated player this week, which I do think makes sense. And finally, let's talk about Mimi. Melissa, what are your thoughts on Mimi?
I just feel like she just hasn't like kicked it into gear like I thought that she would. I can't feel like we kept saying like, okay, this is it. Now is the time. And we just really haven't seen it. And the fact is she might be going home this week. We really don't know. I mean, at this point, obviously it seems like Felicia's going to go, but this house goes back and forth and I could see Mimi leaving. I just feel like she is just not in a great spot. I think, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the fact that she doesn't really have anyone that she's working with, and either she goes home this week or she loses her biggest ally this week, I think that's huge because, you know, once Felicia leaves, she really doesn't have that pairing anymore. Obviously she can work with someone else, but, you know, to lose your number one ally is really not good. Yeah, I honestly feel like I need to give her like a 3. It's not that she's doing so much wrong. It's just that she's not doing much of anything and she's probably going to lose her ally. So yeah, I think I have to give her a 3.
Yeah, it's not great for her. I think she winds up on the block probably next week. If Cirie does not win HOH or if Blue does not win HOH, she's probably up on the block in some capacity. She could be a pawn again. Maybe if Corey wins HOH, because I know him and Corey or her and Corey are sort of like there's some stuff there, so that could probably be an out for her as well. But anybody else, like she's an easy person to just throw up, and you know if the target, assuming she's the pawn again, if the target is able to take themselves down, yeah, or you know she'll probably be the target. So it's just not, it's not looking good for her, and I'm not that confident in her being able to politic her way out of situations because she doesn't really seem to be willing to do so. She's very passive. She'll let you talk your shit to her and then she'll talk her shit to us. And I'm like, we're not there with you. It's you, girl. You need to do this. So yeah, I just and yeah, the fact that she could still, there's a possibility that she could still go. Yeah, I'll give her a 3 because I think it's more likely that Felicia goes, and I won't tie her with Felicia, but yeah, it's not looking good for Mimi, no.
Well, the audience is a little higher on Mimi. They gave her a 4, but I have to agree with the 3. At the end of the day, she could leave this week, and even if she doesn't, she's still a fairly big target next week for a lot of people. And by a lot of people, I mean the 2 people most likely to win the HOH. And that's not great. And the thing too is that like she was warned about this. She was warned that Jag and Matt think that she's coming for them. Last week, she was warned about that by Blue. And they talked about how do we fix it? And it still hasn't been fixed. They still think she's coming for them. They still want her out. She's on the block right now. They want her out. They think she's coming for them. She just nearly won a veto competition. They're especially worried. That's why she might leave this week. It's why she might still leave next week. And she just hasn't been able to kick it into gear. And the one person she has sort of started playing the game a little bit is Blue, which almost worked out, but now is kind of a sinking ship. So yeah, it's not looking great for Mimi at this time. And something really big is going to have to turn around for it to start looking good.
She just needs to win HOH. She needs to win HOH this week.
Yep.
Like no ifs, ands, or buts. Win HOH, put both Matt and Jag on the block.
Yep.
Whoever comes down, put Cameron on the block.
Man, if she does that, that'd be so cool. I'd love to see it.
Wouldn't it be great if we
could get someone else?
If we thought she had an equal chance to win?
Yeah, it'd be fantastic if we could get literally anyone else other than Cam or Matt or Jag.
Crapshoot HOH, please.
I just don't want a boy. I want a girl.
Yeah, it's been a while. Well, that is the Stockwatch for the week. Some interesting shifts up and down. And do we have any final thoughts on the week as I start to see what that has done to the scoreboard?
One thing I did want to say is that I've seen some of Jared's exit interviews, and I feel like I really appreciate the way he's been responding to the feedback from people outside the house and, you know, responding to, you know, what he had said in the house and taking ownership and accountability for it. I feel like we don't really see that much anymore. I feel like a lot of people just like double down, like, or they come out of the house before they know what is being said. And then they're like apologetic. And then the second they like get on social media or like hear a little bit more about it, then they like go the complete opposite and double down and say like, yeah, well, this is like what I feel and and like feed into it. And I really appreciate that. It seems like he really like listened to what people were saying and, you know, is, you know, taking responsibility or owning up to things that was said. Even if maybe he doesn't necessarily agree with all of it because he doesn't really know everything. Like, it is nice to see that sort of response. And I feel like people need to, you know, take that and be happy about it and be like, thank you. We're really glad that you've said that and you've apologized or whatever. Because if we just keep pushing and saying like, well, you shouldn't have said it, then it's like, I feel like that's the scenario when you get someone to be like, okay, well, then I'm not sorry. So I do feel like we kind of should be happy about this response. And I am, at least. And so, yeah, I appreciate it. And so I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I talked to Jared this morning, and I was happy what I was hearing from him in terms of at least his thought process on some of the things he said and did in the house. You know, we only had 5 minutes with him, so there wasn't a lot that could be said. But I know that a lot of people have been like, he's been coached. This is PR speak, so on and so forth. But like, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, there's nothing that a 5-minute conversation a couple days out of the house is going to really tell us, you know. But the only thing it can tell us is that he cares enough to try, which is, let's be real, a lot more than a lot of other people who have come out of the house in the last few years. So that's a good thing. It doesn't mean that like, you know, is it real, whatever. It's just, you know, it's a step in the right direction. It's one step, that's all, but it's at least a step.
Even if it is media training or whatever, who cares? Like, the message is being put out there that he apologizes for that. And that even if it's like, oh, he knows what to say. Yeah, like, he's saying the right thing. And we should all be like, this guy is either trying, number one, or also putting out there in the universe that it is bad to say that stuff, instead of like doubling down and being like, actually, it's a good thing to say this because it was deserved or anything like that. Like, it doesn't matter. The point is that it's being apologized. It's being talked about. It's being said that it was wrong. Like, that's what we should be happy about. So I literally don't care if some media trainer person was like, you need to say this. If I got out of the house and I found out that all these people were saying that I had said all this horrible stuff and I had done all this horrible stuff, I absolutely would be like, what should I say? What should my response be? Because I feel like anyone who just gives it a genuine response, sometimes it does feel like people are like, well, that's not enough. That's not what we want. So I feel like I would be afraid to just give my genuine response because I wouldn't know if it's the right thing to say. So to have somebody like tell me, say this, and this will like be the right thing to say, like, I would appreciate that because I would want to take accountability and I'd want to be respectful of everyone. And sometimes I don't have the right words to do that. So I don't care if it's coached, as long as he's like, actually, if, you know, like wanting to say the right thing or wanting to do the right thing or owning up to whatever, like, at least he's doing that. It's like Taran said, it's better than a lot of the stuff we get where someone doubles down. So I have to just go with it.
And I want to be very clear, like, anybody that was hurt or offended by the words he said or the things that he said is under absolutely no obligation to forgive him. Or anything along those lines. And if you feel like this was not enough, like, that is a perfectly reasonable response. It's, you know, I think that just in general, if he is at least making an effort to apologize, like I said, that is one step in the right direction that a lot of steps are required to be taken to go in that direction. And at least it's going in that direction from my perspective. But again, it is perfectly reasonable, I think, and completely fair to feel like I still don't care. I still don't want anything to do with him. and I think that's perfectly reasonable and fair as well. But yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to see the shift over the last few days.
I just can't, like, I don't know. I think I'm just getting to the point now where I just can't be in the business anymore of like keeping tabs on whether or not someone is sincere, because I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know Jared from a can of paint. And so for someone to sit here and say like, oh, it's all PR, it's all coach, it's all training. First of all, how do you know that? Second of all, even if it was, like Melissa said, he has all the capacity to say, no, I don't agree. I'm going to double down on what I said, or I'm just not going to say anything at all because I don't think that anything I did was wrong. He clearly didn't do that. So on some level, you have to acknowledge on some level that there is something in him that's like, I need to make this right. Right? Like, it's just, we don't know if it's fake. You're not going to know any of that until you watch his behavior or watch what you think is his behavior from here on out, right? Like, all you can really do is just either continue to keep tabs on someone who you seemingly dislike, which seems like a waste of energy, or take his word for what it is and just hope that he does better. That's all you can really do, you know? Sure, it sucks when you have people that are on one of your favorite television shows to watch sort of sour your experience because they are saying things that are harmful. I agree, and you can take them to task as they're on the show. But once they leave that lot, it really is all bets are off. You know, like they are going to make whatever decisions that they are going to make going forward, and all you can really do is hope that they try to make the best ones and they stop the harmful behavior. That's all that you can do. And if he continues the harmful behavior, then girl, God bless you. But until he gives me any indication that he's trying to do that, I'm just going to let him continue to make the strides that he's trying to make. And that's all I can really say. You know, that's not to say that anyone has to forgive him if they don't want to, but I think it is I think it's much better for anyone's mental health if you believe that he is this far gone. I don't know why you're trying to keep tabs on him to begin with. That seems like a waste of energy to me. But
yeah, and I feel like we should be like encouraging like personal growth, or people like trying to say like saying that they're going to make personal growth or whatever. I just feel like we shouldn't be like, if someone's owning up to something, we shouldn't be like, yeah, well, you shouldn't have said it, or fake or whatever. I just feel like at this point, we just have to like take him at his word and hope that it's true, and hope that, you know, he does really feel sorry about it, and just like move on. Like, I just feel like the constant, like, we're back in it, we're back at, like, you know, it's just, I don't like this. Like, let's just like move on, I think is the key.
My own personal philosophy is and has always been that if I see behavior I don't like, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to call it out. If I see behavior I do like, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to call that out. And I'm not usually going to make a whole lot of connections one way or another. That's what happened with Jared. He said things that I didn't like. He did things that I didn't like. He came out. He's now apologizing. I like that he's apologizing. You know, same thing with Cam currently in the house. Does things that I don't like. Sometimes he does things that I do like, and I talk about those too. But you know, I'm not trying to do anything beyond that with Cam either. I'm just, this is a thing. I don't like it. This is why I don't think people should do it. And any judgment beyond that is not for really me to make a lot.
You can't be judge, jury, and executioner. It's too much work. It's too much work.
It is way too much work.
But again, that's just me, and I would never try to say that that is how other people should behave as well, because everybody comes at it from a different place, and I understand that for their own mental health, everybody needs to deal with these kinds of situations in their own way, and so you know, at the end of the day, we're all just trying to live our lives in this world. So you know, we'll see where things go. I can tell you where one thing went.
Oh no. I don't want to know.
Down, Melissa. You went down.
I forgot to do anything. And I was like, you know, like maybe this will actually be good for them this week. So I'm just going to keep who I have.
Stockwatch.
And now
like, everybody, oh my God, what happened?
Everybody I like put stock into last week or whatever is down. So it's real bad. It's real bad.
Here's the deal, Melissa.
I'm the worst.
You're
Melissa.
not the worst, Melissa.
Oh, okay.
But you are the second worst, Melissa.
Oh no, that's so bad. Oh my god. Okay.
Stop pitting Melissas against each other.
I need to do something this week. I need to make a move. I keep forgetting to do anything and I keep regretting it. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to do it. Not good.
Yeah, Melissa stayed in with 25 shares of Mimi, which went way down. 9 shares of America, which I think also I think America actually probably stayed
up,
kind of in. Corey though.
Yeah, that's bad. I mean, I lost Corey.
Like
I had Corey like way before, and then I forgot to do anything, and then
here's why you're probably not the worst, Melissa. You also had 11 shares of Jag, who I think was the biggest winner of the night.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay,
but your Mimi shares really tanked you.
Yeah, and I've had those like the whole game, so yeah, not good.
Meanwhile, on the actual leaderboard full of people that matter, Charam is in first place, and the BB president in second place. I did a podcast, the Wheel of Time podcast, the season 2, with the BB president and Rich over at Post Recaps. And I believe they invited me for the finale podcast as well, which should be airing this week. So if you want to check out the number 2 Stockwatch leaderboard person on a podcast, check out the Wheel of Time post-show recap.
Very nice.
Aman, do you have any final thoughts on the week?
Nope. Just I'm hoping that we get just a nice shakeup this upcoming week. That's it. Mimi for HOH. Woo!
All right. Well, that's what we have for you then this week on the Stockwatch Roundtable podcast. Thank you all so much for joining us. You can, of course, find me over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong. I'll be watching episodes. I want to try and do watch parties for the Traders Canada, which I think is maybe just airing its first episode.
Ooh. I'm excited to watch
one
that.
Kevin Martin is on it. One, in fact, 2 of my draft winners are on this season. Both Erica from Survivor and Kevin Martin from Big Brother Canada, as well as Kuzi from Big Brother Canada. So I believe the first episode just ended. So I'm going to try and do watch parties on Twitch for that. Maybe tomorrow we'll see how things go. And then I'll be watching other episodes. I'll be watching Survivor live. I'll be watching Big Brother live. It'll be a good time. So make sure you check all of that out. You can also find me over on Instagram posting some climbing stuff. I'm close to finishing my climbing journey of the Slab Lab for this particular one. See if I finish it. See if I succeed. Yeah, I think that's about it. Aman, what do you got going on?
Nothing. I'm just here covering Big Brother as per usual. Occasionally playing Goose Duck with everyone on Sundays on Puya and on Puya's stream and everything. Taran stream as well. But other than that, no, you can follow me everywhere at Aman Adwin.
All right.
I am going to be gone coming up soon. So just wanted to say that so no one thinks I was fired.
Hold on. How do I make you full screen?
Oh no, please no. It's too much.
No, because you have an adorable dog face behind you.
I know. She's just watching the pod. That's Piper, everybody. That's not Riley. So you get the one you usually see is Piper. Because she's so tall that she can like be seen right here when she's standing here. Riley, on the other hand, is short. So no one ever sees Riley, but people always see Piper and then they think her name is Riley, but that is Piper. The big one is Piper. The smaller one is Riley.
Which one barks more?
She starts it. She'll do one big bark and then Riley will be like, what's going on? I'm going to get in there. She's like all scrappy. So yeah. But funny. Yes, I'm going to be gone for like basically the next month. I am traveling to Austria for work. And then from there, Dennis is going to meet me out there. And we're going to go to Greece and Turkey. And it should be a fun trip. But I'll be back at the end of October, basically. Like October 25th is when I get back. So it's going to be a long time. So I will not be here for the roundtable. I know everyone's going to miss me a lot. I don't know what you guys are going to do without me, but I will be back before the end of the season. So I will definitely be on the Roundtable at the end of the month, and then I will be at the live show in LA.
Yes, back in time for the LA live show. And in the meantime, you can find Melissa on Twitter at It's Melissa with 3 A's. 3 A's at the end. All right, thank you all so much for joining us here tonight. And what's that?
Squid Games? Did season 2 premiere yet? It's
No.
gonna be out now? Oh, okay.
And I would love it too.
There's a Squid Games reality show coming out soon, though.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
I did hear
yeah.
about that. I am excited about that.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
Oh wait, I heard someone from Survivor is on it.
Really?
Really?
I didn't know that.
Figgy, I heard.
Figgy?
Oh wow.
That's what I heard. It
random.
might have just been a wrong rumor, but I don't want to spread wrong information. But I did see that, and I was like, huh, interesting. But it's because like there's so many people, you know, they like wanted to cast
Yeah.
her,
One of
but
like
I don't know.
500 or whatever.
Yeah, like so we don't even. I
Yeah.
don't even know if we'll even see her, but like that's what I heard.
Mhm.
It might be wrong.
Well, there you go. Well, thank you all so much for
spreading
joining.
misinformation as I leave.
Yes. We will see all of you